Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pernell checking in one more time as an Aries Sun and Aries Moon, both in the 5th house with the Scorpio ascendant. I'm specifically talking about Aries Moon in the 5th house with the Scorpio ascendant. Before I continue any further, I'm going to please do ask you to not only like and subscribe this to help me on my journey to the 1,000 mark, but I want to sit there and say thank you for really rocking with me and rolling with me this far. So I'm primarily going to talk about Aries Moon in the 5th house with a Scorpio ascendant. All right. What's major about this is, and before I even go further, depending on what system you're using, Placidus or whole sign. If you're using whole sign in astrology, I would say that this Aries Moon may actually come out in the 6th house for you, which changes a little bit of what my message will be about today, but not entirely. And I'll try to go a little bit back and forth to show you both Aries 5th house moon, Aries 6th house moon, with specifically this Scorpio ascendant. So I'm already thinking in my mind, like I want to label this video the Heartbreak Warrior. And the reason being, we all know that 5th house is the house of romance. Okay. So now when you take Aries, the archetype of Aries, who is representing the number 1, and 5th house representing the Leo, and you really combine these two in the space of the moon, your emotional world, who you are behind closed doors, the person that only the fewer get to see, all right? Noticing and remembering that the moon goes through its shadow phases, right? If you look up in the sky, just because the sky is night doesn't mean you're gonna see the moon. So this is one characteristic about the moon to always understand, because that's how our emotions really work. And Aries is an extremely emotional person. This is just an absolute reality, ladies and gentlemen. So with Aries being such an emotional person, Aries being somebody who's driven primarily by passion, somebody that's primarily driven by what makes them feel enthusiastic in the moment, you really want to take this to account, because some of their most creative endeavors actually comes when they are either angry, or they are upset, or they are just overjoyous, or they are in a complete ecstatic mode of excitement, right? And you put this in that space of the 5th house, it's talking romance, we're talking Leo, we're talking also non-committal romance, which is something to understand. A lot of people go back and forth between that 5th and that 6th house. So if you are somebody with this Aries moon in that 5th to 6th house, what I'll say is, on the 6th house side of this, really making sure that your habits and the relationships you have with others really form, and actually you recognize, all right, like if I'm a vegan and you're a vegan, can I be okay with you not being a vegan? Like that's a daily habit, 6th house, right? The mundane things. Or this is your work style, you love working from outside, and we're a couple, but I love working from inside. A lot of people don't make it past that house. And with Scorpio as the ascendant, Scorpio is going to really be able to pick up pretty quick. We all know it's a super perceptive sign. We all know that Scorpios are in that mentality and have that vision that they just go a little bit deeper than everyone else, and it's just part of what they love. So when you add now Aries, who may not really focus, their focus is not to go deep, okay? And now what this does is it creates a very high standard. All right, this is why we're looking at this as the Heartbreak Warrior for a couple of things. It creates a very high standard for an Aries Moon 5th house, 6th house, and a Scorpio ascendant, because Scorpio wants the intense marriage, soul bonding, emotionally connective love, all right? And Aries is more like the quick spark that says, I'm interested now, but maybe not in 3 seconds, all right? It works primarily off of inspiration and the emotion. So you really gotta, they really might take a while to find that person that they can sit there and stick with beyond just the romance, beyond just the mystery of the romance. So Scorpio is gonna stick in just for the mystery part of the beginning romance, but it really needs something on that committal standpoint. It needs something more grounded in intensity, somebody that can withstand the fire. All right, because you already know if you have an Aries moon, you have a lot of fire. You are probably really prone to extremely dramatic emotions, right? Drama coming from the 5th house of Leo. It's a performance, right? Your emotional world may literally be part of what makes them so creative, what makes them actors, but especially in love, what makes them a creative actor in love, which also makes them a creative romancer, someone who can consistently always think of Aries, brand new, spark, fire type ideas for the dating, for the romance. And Scorpio is going to be the one that really want to sustain it. That Scorpio Rising is going to want to really sustain that romance and look for something that is going to make it through the mud, make it through. This is why I label this the heartbreak warrior, because again, I have this place in myself, and what I can tell you is, especially with my Venus and Gemini, check that video, we did that there. Dating has been something that I've been primed to do, primarily so that now at this stage of my life of maturity, as the Aries gets older, understanding Aries Moon, Aries in general, through their experiences, they get more mature and they don't really make the same mistakes over and over and over again. They generally do everything once and they learn their lessons really, really quickly. They have a very fast processor. I also have an Aries and Mercury, so you can check that video. They have a very fast processor in general. Where this is really important for multiple reasons. Scorpio and the Scorpio Rising is really fearless, right? As well as Aries. They're both just bold. They both can withstand the fire, can withstand the heat. So understand that whoever you're dating, whoever you're romancing with, especially from a space of looking for more committal romance, not just in the dating phase, you're gonna need somebody that can really withstand the heat. That's what I really wanna say. Somebody can withstand the depth that Scorpio requires, and somebody that can keep the wheel exciting that Aries requires. Aries still needs brand new romance ideas. It needs brand new, really just excitement in this emotional world. It also needs to be coddled, all right? And Aries Moon is one that is used to getting its wants and its needs right away. So it needs a partner really that wants to kind of coddle it, but Aries may not be the one to ask for because it has this God of War mentality. So they may not fully ask for that, especially with it in the 5th house, but it always is showing with its action. Aries, an action character, is showing with its action that this is the type of love that it wants to be, that it wants married. All right. So it's always going to be the one to take care of a partner. It's always going to be the one to think of brand new ideas for where to go, how to keep it interesting. This is going to be a big focus of theirs, with it being in that 5th house. All right. As well as that 6th house. So even if it's in the 6th house, it's a house of service. It's Virgo's house, right? So that Aries Moon is like, it's going to get emotional fulfillment from serving its partners. All right. And again, a Scorpio Rising, Scorpio Ascendant loves all of the commitment stages, all of the really intense, deep, and even at times dark emotions that an Aries, who always is the spark energy going through brand new things, will go through. Aries will go through many, many emotions, and it's not something that they can really hold. It's the last person that you want to hold their emotions in. So you really want to find a partner with this Aries Moon 5th house or 6th house that doesn't really want to prohibit you in your emotional world. That's a very big sign that your creativity will be completely blocked, because creativity in that 5th house is major. It's going to be completely blocked, which means that it's not going to be emotionally fulfilled, which means that that relationship will likely end. And this is one of the reasons why I looked at this as the heartbreak warrior, because Aries is in that brand new one energy, all right, in the numerology. It wants to do new things and it wants to stay interested. It has a very fast processor, and it goes opposite of Scorpio, which is like, it could be really slow, really intuitive, which Aries is as well, but it could be really, it needs a connection that just won't die and can make it through it all, make it through literally the depths of hell and bring it back. This is really my interpretation of Aries in the 5th house and that 6th house, as well as Scorpio Rising. If you have this in combination, asking you to subscribe, like this again, and to understand very much, this needs to be understood, to understand that I label this heartbreak warrior from my own personal experience. This does not mean that you can't sit there and have that love from the first time and endure it, all right? This doesn't mean that you always have to go be looking for brand new romances, but you definitely need somebody that can keep up with your mental capacity, that can keep up with your emotional world, that will, like an Aries cardinal sign, it pushes forward in its fears. It pushes forward in the things that it is most afraid of in love. So it needs to express. And if it does not express, that energy is bottled up. Water and fire, when you add that together, bottled up, it's not very good, all right? So this is my interpretation here, and I will see you soon. Asking you to subscribe one last time. Love. I really wanted to add one more thing about the Aries Moon and the Scorpio Rising combination. Don't forget that Scorpio Risings are very emotional, highly attuned, highly in touch with things that are in the physical plane and the spiritual plane, right? They are the bridge, that Scorpio Rising. And as a part of that, don't ever forget, and this is me also reminding myself as a Scorpio Rising with an Aries Moon, that Scorpios are naturally secretive characters. They're not secretive because they want to hide things from you, but understand that they don't even always understand the energies that are coming in at every single corner. So the surrounding environment, you as a Scorpio Rising, is in some capacity, especially if you have not fully understood how your armor works, because your Scorpio Rising gives you an offensive and a defensive armor, and every rising has an offensive and a defensive armor, every ascendant sign. So don't forget with the Scorpio Rising that part of your armor is that you can disguise yourself even in plain sight. So like today, I'm not really feeling, if you notice, this has been me today. I am the guy who absolutely does not even really wear the mask. But today, in a couple days, as of late especially, I've been wearing my bandana and sunglasses, and I've been covering my hair. Especially if you are walking, Scorpios are here to teach, right? They're here to transform whatever their darkness that they went through into the light. So as a part of that, and you being that natural born teacher, that leader, even when you don't always want to be, recognize that you have that heteric image. When I say heteric, what I mean is people naturally know that you can heal them. They naturally know that if I stick around this person long enough, I'm going to be able to tell them, and I want to tell them my deepest, darkest secret, especially with me having Pluto in the 12th house of Scorpio, right? So what is interesting about the combination of the Aries Moon and the Scorpio now is Aries, in that 5th house especially, is absolutely fearless when it comes to their creative expression. That's going to be through their clothes. That's going to be through their voice, like I'm using right now. They really don't want to ever hold the trigger on their emotional world. They're more likely to want to just blow the fuck up. So it's tough because Scorpio Rising is like, I don't really want anybody seeing me in this emotional state. I don't really want anybody hearing this emotional vomit that I have. But Aries is kind of like, I don't really got time to think about nobody except for myself. While Scorpio and the rising sign on the opposite side is like, I'm forced to think about others. I am one of the interpersonal signs, being the 8th zodiac, right before we move into the collective in Sagittarius. So what that says is like, yo, Scorpio secretive wants to be in the shadow, but Aries is like, boom, look at me, bitch. I'm out here in person, and I'm going to speak the tone that I want. I'm going to express my feelings, how I feel. And I have no time to hold back or worry about you silly goosebump back bitches. This is me in that mode right now, Aries Moon. I'm just honestly feeling a super emotional, quite frankly. And Aries is an emotional sign. It's an instinctual emotional sign that takes action based off of its emotion. So if you have this placement as an Aries Moon and a Scorpio Rising, recognize that you're limiting yourself if you allow that Scorpio to hold you back in your expression too much. You will bottle up and you will implode. I have definitely more than enough times imploded in my life. And so just don't ever forget that. That's really what I wanted to add. Like, you know, you're an emotional warrior, all right? You're somebody who is leading, Aries, leading in the space of emotions, especially in this 5th house, in romance. You are that heartbreak warrior that I put entitled for this video, because Scorpio is fearless in understanding the hidden motivations, the hidden emotions, and everything that's not fully on the surface. Scorpio wants to dive in deep to that area and emotion, and wants to understand, why does this person want to blow up? Why do they want to express the way they want to express? And you're naturally inclined, I'm naturally inclined to look through my life through this lens throughout my life, and to share it, all right? Scorpios and Scorpio Rising, Scorpio Ascendants, I'm asking you right now to step out and remember that you are not only darkness. You are literally here to transform, keyword, Pluto energy, Pluton energy, transform that light to the darkness, especially with my Pluto in the 12th house, which speaks about basically the release of the ego, right? The release of the ego. So Aries wants to express their ego, and they really love to do so, especially in that moon placement, especially in that 5th house, which is Leo. energy of drama and creative energy and just passion, raw passion. So don't allow that Scorpio rising to limit that passion, and also understand that Scorpio rising has a tremendous amount of passion. All right, tremendous amount of passion. Their emotions are watery. The water is like the ocean. It's so deep, it's so dark, the depths are just insane. And recognize that, you know, there are moments gonna come that you just are not okay. All right, and recognize and remember forever that it's okay to not be okay. That's what I had to tell myself today, and I had to tell my lady as well. You know what? I'm just not okay. So if you're not okay, let that be part of how your expression comes out, even with that Aries Moon. This is my interpretation, Aries Moon, specifically in the 5th house, coming with the Scorpio rising. I love you, and I thank you for listening to me, because this was therapeutic for me today. Love.